Well, hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is for you. I have a question. How many reading groups are you a member of? Well, there's a reason that I'm asking, and that's because today on Eva Marie and the Experts, my expert is Tricia Goyer. And I want to tell you a little bit about her before we get into the discussion of reading groups, not writing groups, because I know you're all members of lots and lots of writing groups, but reading groups. Tricia has been married to John long time, and they have 10, count them, 10 children. I just did enough keeping up with the ones I had. So 10 children. And they live in Arkansas. But get this, Tricia has written somewhere over 90 books. She's like me. She quit counting a long time ago, but 90 books. And like me, and this is why I love her so much, and we could talk for hours and hours, but we won't today. She writes in all the genres, like every genre you can possibly think of. She's written children's books, and she's written books for teens, and she's written nonfiction books and fiction books. And she told me just a moment ago that she's even trying her hand at steampunk. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Tricia, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's so good to be here.
Yay,
Thanks.
I'm so glad. Yeah, you've actually interviewed me before. Now I get to interview you, and it's so fun. Okay, so you have this group called Avid Readers of Christian Fiction. Tell me about that group and why you started it.
Well, it got started because on my regular Facebook page, I think I always post questions and try to get people engaged. And one of the questions was, how many books do you read a year? Well, people started listing like 100, 200, 300. I'm like, these are avid readers. And so my friend Martha, who's also an avid reader, she reads a lot. I'm like, Martha, we need to start a group for avid readers. And so I think it was 9 years ago now. And right away, within the first month, we had like over 500 people. And everyone is just talking about the books they read. And we made a lot of rules right away because I've often been on groups where people are just promoting themselves all the time, and you don't really get to talk about the books you enjoy because it's just a lot of promotion, which I'm an author. I like promotion, but sometimes it just gets to be too much. And so we made the rule that during the week we could just share about books we love, and people can promote or post a link on the weekend. But really during the week, it's just if people say, hey, I love World War II, what should I read? People can comment. And so now it's almost 26,000 members. And it's about almost 70% active. That means in a given month, 70% of it, which I don't do math. We just talked about this. Math is not my strong point, but in a given month, 70% of those 26,000 people are commenting on that page.
Isn't that incredible? I mean, you're probably like, who knew, right?
Who knew?
And
yeah,
who knew? I know my husband started a group on Facebook, and it quickly went into like 20,000, 30,000. And he actually had to turn it over to someone because he was so intimidated by it. He was like, so how do you moderate this with such a vast number of members?
My friend Martha Artemenko is the main moderator, and then we have some volunteer ones. But we also have unofficial moderators because people will tag and tell other people, especially if they're new, hey, the rules are we can't post links during the week. And so even though we have the official ones, I would say they kind of police each other, the people.
Yeah.
And they'll tell people in a kind way, like, hey, if you haven't looked at the rules, we don't post links during the week, or they will tag us to remove it. Martha really is the one that does a lot of keeping track and letting people in and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a Facebook group, and it's Avid Readers of Christian Fiction.
Yes.
And again, it's super fun. I love to go in and read some of the comments, and I discover writers I didn't even know about, especially when somebody starts talking about this book and that book, and then this writer, that writer, and then other people start chiming in. And so based on that, let's talk about why a Christian writer would want to be a member of a Christian readers group.
Right. Well, because there's all types of people asking for different books. So, for example, when people say like, I would love to read more World War II, I'm going to mention Sarah Sundin and Karen
Mhm.
Putman. You've written some World War II. I'll mention some of your books that I love. And so then all of a sudden I can say, and also I've written some, and then I
Yeah.
can,
By
so
the way.
really, it is a way you still are promoting yourself, but
Mhm.
you're also sharing what you love, what you've enjoyed. And then if you're writing in a certain genre, you can see what other people are recommending. You can
Mhm.
maybe read some of those books that are similar. And it's just a way to build the kind of the name recognition with authors. So, not even when you're promoting yourself, if I'm always sharing what I love, what I read,
Mhm.
people just get to know that I'm a reader too, that I love
Yeah.
reading books. And so really you're building relationships, but there also is the opportunity to share like, hey, I've written a book in this genre, and then people can go and check that out too.
Yeah, that's one of the things I personally prefer is if somebody says I'm looking for a book, like I saw this not too long ago. I'm looking for a book set in World War II, but stateside. So in other
Yeah.
words, I don't want it to be in Europe and I don't want it to be in the specific. And I said, well, I wrote this book, The One True Love of Alice Ann, which takes place
I love
stateside.
that book so
I did
much.
too. I loved it too. But then I can also say, but if you're also interested in some really strong World War II writers, I would also like to suggest Sarah Sundin, for example, and some of
Yeah,
the others.
exactly.
And yeah, because I always kind of cringe at that, pick me kind of kind of attitude, and you don't want to do that. But I like what you had to say about the fact that we are readers too. And I think like when people realize that as writers, we have a certain genre that we like to read, they
Mhm.
find that interesting. And then we can talk about the different types of books. Like right now, I am reading and you wouldn't call this Christian fiction, but they're certainly clean. The James Herriot books, like All Creatures
Yeah.
Great and Small. Yeah. I read I think it's like his third or fourth book first. I don't know how I got through my whole life never reading these books. Oh my gosh, they are
I
so
haven't read them.
incredible.
I
They
have
are
not read
so
them.
incredible, and then yeah, and to be able to share that this is what I'm reading right now and how much I love it, and then have people come back and say, I read those books. I love those books. I had somebody last night say to me, I just pulled those books off the shelf because I hadn't thought about them in so long. And you mentioned it. So again, it's all about community. And we want our readers to know that we're people. We read, we
Yeah.
do read,
And like if they say like I love this type, I'm like, oh, well, check out this author because that's a
Yeah.
similar thing. And then
Mhm.
you're kind of growing Christian fiction in general too. So it's not just, I'm
Yes.
just not promoting myself. I comment probably 90% on stuff that I've enjoyed from other authors. And when it's appropriate, I'll also say, and I wrote this too, which they don't mind that. They just don't
Yeah.
want you all the time only sharing about your books. But if
Right.
it's appropriate and it fits the genre that they're looking for, then they're like, oh, cool, I didn't know you wrote that. And then you
Yeah.
could share. But I'm all the time
Yeah.
sharing, if you like mysteries, check out this. If you like historicals, check out this. If you like contemporary, check out this. Split time, because I'm reading them too. And then I get excited if I'm
Yeah.
share something that I enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings up another point that I wanted to talk about within avid readers of Christian fiction. And by the way, you guys, there are lots of groups like this out there. Just check out LinkedIn and Facebook and I don't know, Twitter and TikTok and Book Talk, and there's so much now in social media. But this particular group, I just absolutely love. And one of the things that I really like is that you have interviews that you do. You interviewed me, like I said, and those are posted at the top of the page.
Yeah.
Talk about those for just a little bit and what they're all about.
Yeah. So they're actually paid interviews because what we were realizing, first of all, I'm paying Martha to help moderate the page. I mentioned
Mhm.
she did it as a volunteer for years and years, but when it's coming like almost
Yeah.
a part-time job for her, and we also promote on the page and then on my social media, and people do the blog posts for me. I have social media people that create the blogs, create the newsletters, create the
Mhm.
graphics. So I'm paying these people. So it's actually, I mean, they get a big reach for the paid amount, but it's a way for me to say, These are people that I trust. These are
Mhm.
books that I've enjoyed. This is a way I want to promote them, but it's also it's benefiting the readers because they get to hear about new authors. It's benefiting the authors because they get their name out there. And then it's benefiting my people because I get paid for some of the work
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
right.
do.
Exactly.
So it's a
Exactly.
win-win. And there's actually like, I turn down, if I don't love a book,
Mhm.
I'm not going to promote it on there. And I've had to do that
There
a
you
number
go.
of times that I'm like, this
Yeah.
is something
Yeah.
that,
Well,
one
good
has,
for you on that.
yeah, was a little too edgy.
Mm.
I'm like, this is, if these, because I kind of know the readers. Again, I'm on the
Yeah.
page, see what they
Yeah.
like. If it has too much dark stuff, I
Hmm.
hear more Twilighty. I'm like, and they're not going to like this. And it's actually, I told one lady, I'm like, it's not going to benefit you because
Right.
they're going to read it and have negative reviews because it was too dark for them. Which I know you know your readers, but this group isn't. There's some
Yes.
that have been self-published. I don't even mind self-published if it's well written. So we've had
Right.
self-published, and if they're well written, I'm like, yeah, I would love to
Yeah.
promote. It's
Yeah.
hard to get the word out there, but some have been like, oh, you did. You
Yeah.
kind of need
Yeah.
an editor. And so I feel like I'm like a gatekeeper
Yeah.
for the group that if I love it, I'm telling and I'm saying I loved it. This is a great,
Hmm.
then I really did love it. Like I'm not just
Yeah, exactly.
so it's a
Yeah.
gatekeeper letting them hear about new authors, hear about new books, and it reaches this audience in a way to just kind of get the word out there where otherwise it's hard to kind of reach that audience normally. So this is just an extra way to do that.
Also by following along with avid readers of Christian fiction and things like that, we also as writers get an opportunity or have this opportunity to know better what it is that readers want,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
because we're kind of cloistered in our little offices and in our little worlds and all of that. And sometimes it's hard to know, like what is selling, what are people reading? And this will give you an
Exactly.
idea.
And when they ask for certain things, like today, I just saw someone ask, are there any split time novels when one of the point of views is male and the other point of views is female? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I personally can't think of anything, but that's a really interesting idea.
That's
Like,
yeah.
it gets
Yeah,
my
that's
mind like thinking, or they'll say like World War II home front, or like if you see the
mhm.
question being asked over and over again, and there's not a lot filling it, it's like, okay, readers are looking for this.
Yeah.
Hey, I have an idea. Maybe,
Yeah.
you know, there was for a while, there's a lot of people asking for like princess type books. They love
Mhm.
princess and castles and royals. There's so much with royal things happening with, Queen
Yeah.
Elizabeth and William and Kate and all these things. And so if they're looking for those types of things, they're like, maybe I should write a princess book, which I do have one just
Right.
now.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah. All of a
just gonna
sudden,
get
we
an
saw
idea of
quite a
what
few
they're looking
princess books. Yeah,
for.
you know
Yeah,
what? Cinderella never dies, does she? She
no,
just
no,
really never dies. We just
yeah,
love a good Cinderella story, and that's going to bring me to another point, and then we'll end with this. And that is that avid readers of Christian fiction and groups like Avid Readers, it's not just females. There are
right,
men. There are
yeah.
male readers, and so for you guys who are, even your females who say, I want to write to the men, well, here's your opportunity to see what it is they're looking for and what they like to read.
Yeah, and absolutely. There's men that do want the spy and the World
Mhm.
War II and the more action, but there's also male readers who love Amish stories and who
Yeah.
love
Isn't that
romance.
crazy? Yeah.
And for me, it's like, oh, that's so weird. Yeah, one of our neighbors' friends, she's like, my husband loves your Amish books. I'm like, for a minute, I'm like, oh, okay. But then he loves because they like what to watch One Calls the Heart together. Just the different types of things that they
Yeah.
like. Little House on the Prairie ish. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, so he likes sitting down with my Amish books. Okay. But so there isn't like we can't just say all men
Right.
are gonna want the fast-paced spy books, all
Right.
men
Yeah.
are gonna want the sweet
Blood and
romance.
guts,
Well,
war,
yeah, it's
shooting.
opposite. You never know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and there are some women out there who absolutely love the war, the blood and guts, the fast action.
Yeah.
Everybody's got, and that's why you have so many members of avid readers, because everybody's got their likes and their dislikes. Their Like, I know I'm not going to pick up a certain kind of book. It doesn't matter if it's the best book ever, ever, ever. I'm just not going to pick it up. Maybe it's too dark, or it's, I don't know, too wordy. I don't know, just there was a book that came out a few years ago, a couple of 3 years ago, that everybody was raving about. And I picked it up and started reading it. And I'm like, I can't read this. It's too dark for me. And I don't need to go there. I feel everything I read, and I feel everything I see, because I'm a writer, I'm a creative, right? So it's like, I can't do this. And the whole world can think this is the best book ever written, but it's not going to do it for me. So I put it down.
And it's kind of in a good way pushed me out of my comfort zone,
Mhm.
because I would be like more drawn to more historical, World War II, some sweet romance type of things. But because people are like, hey, I want you to promote this, I'm like, well, I'm going to read it. I have to read it. Then I'm
Of
like, ooh,
course.
I really like this fantasy, whatever. I really like this science fiction, like Operation Grendel from Daniel Schwarbentruber. I interviewed him probably 6 or 8 months ago.
Mhm.
And it's like science fiction, other planet creatures, but introspective also. And I was like, I never would have ever picked this up.
Right.
He wanted me to
Yeah.
promote it. I'm like, well, I got to read it. Then I'm like, oh, this is so good. And I just told my
Yeah.
husband, like, you got to read this. And he just
Yeah.
finished it. He's like, that was so good. I
Yeah.
never would have
You
ever
never
picked.
know. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. That's what I love about this group. And then you also get to know other Christian writers as well, that otherwise you may not have, because this is not your genre, this is not your field,
Right.
or whatever. So, okay. I hope everybody has enjoyed this interview. If you are not already a member of Avid Readers of Christian Fiction on Facebook, I'm going to encourage you to go check it out and join this group. Take some time to scroll through and to just, live and learn just a little bit before you start chattering away. It's a lot of fun. I tell you, when I had COVID and I was just kind of like, all I wanted to do was sleep, I actually got really, really caught up in the Avid Readers of Christian Fiction group, because I was just laying in bed in between my naps, just scrolling through, just reading, but
It's
do
so
that before you
insightful.
start
Yeah.
commenting. Yeah.
You learn a lot about readers and what they love.
You do. And that's why I wanted to talk about it. And I thank you so much for being with me today, Tricia. And again, everybody check it out. It's Avid Readers of Christian Fiction. And this is Tricia Goyer. Well, this is Tricia Goyer. I'm not Tricia Goyer, but I am Eva Marie Everson, the CEO of Word Weavers International and the director of Florida Christian Writers Conference. So until next time, I will say to you, right on.